Ballerinas are Girls started out as a bit of a fundraising idea back in December 19 when we had quite severe bushfires going through the district. A few of us got together with the idea of raising some funds and we might be able to assist those in need. Unfortunately, COVID put an end to our plan to hold the show, and every time we went to perform or set a date for it, there was a COVID lockdown. So it just kept going on. The guys kept on rehearsing, we kept on practicing, and then eventually we were able to hold it back in mid-October. There were many other challenges as well, because a lot of the guys in the show had never done anything like it before. We were lucky that people like Ray Penny and Kathy Malloy had performed on stage before, but a lot of the guys didn't even know each other. And then to come along and start rehearsing was quite a challenge. A lot of the time one couldn't turn up to rehearsals and then the other one could, and we had to cancel different acts and different nights, and then people dropped out through through time. They got other jobs and weren't living in Two Rocks anymore. But eventually we got this show together. Despite all the challenges, I couldn't be happier with the result, and certainly the community feedback has been outstanding.
The biggest challenge we faced was the fact that the venue was a giant, boomy reverb hall, which in itself is hard to sort of make anything clear. So we were fortunate enough that I had a bit of PA gear left over. Kathy Malloy, the singer, had some speakers. So we managed to put all this together, bought a few bits and pieces, and we inherited some mics, some radio mics, which are great because you don't have cables. But by the same token, we had a lot of people who'd never really been on stage before and never used radio mics. And a microphone, when you're in a big boomy room, needs to really stay in one spot. So the challenge is trying to get the microphone sounding clear without feeding back. That in itself was quite a big one, and that's what I probably found the most challenging thing. The recording of it, the actual PA was fine, but yeah, radio mics and a big boomy hall, which thankfully changed once all the beautiful people of Two Rocks came in.
A special shout out to Mark Powley, who was not only the guitarist and the sound guy and the lighting guy, but he was my main man in the show.
Well, my background was doing live sound 30 odd years, so that sort of gave me the background that was needed to, I thought, get the show going.
If it wasn't for Mark, we wouldn't be able to get the quality of the show that we had, and it was great to have people like Mark and others like Ray and Kathy I mentioned before with the experience to be the backbone of the show and combine very well with all the young talent that we uncovered on the night.
John, who owns a local bottle shop in Two Rocks, mentioned he was putting a show together with a bunch of local rat bags, and I consider myself a local rat bag, so I thought, yeah, I'd like to be a part of that. I do play a bit of guitar, and he said, well, yeah, okay, you're in. I thought, okay. And then I probably also mentioned that I did sound, and I kind of roped myself into doing that, which in some ways was a good thing. It certainly had its challenges in this show anyway.
This wasn't the first show I've done. I started back in 1981 as a football club fundraiser. In those days, the idea of raising funds was picking up mallee roots and bagging sheep manure. I did that once and thought, nah, this ain't going to happen. So I said, why don't we put on a bit of a fun music night? People love music and they love comedy. And so I kind of came up with the idea of a send-up of a TV show that was on many years ago called The Good Old Days, and just brought it into the modern times. So over the next 10 years, we did about 40 or 50 shows, and always using local people, and ideally those who've never done anything like it before. Try to find local characters who people recognise in town but would never imagine them getting up on stage and doing the things that they did. And I think we pulled it off this year when you look at some of the characters that we've produced. You know, you can talk about all the challenges you like, but the end result was fantastic, and the friendship and the camaraderie of the cast shone through on the night, and how much we enjoyed putting that on for the audience, and certainly the audience enjoyed what we were able to produce.